All right, welcome everyone to our regular meeting. Ms. Perry, will you please call the roll for us?
Mayor Holly Berry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stephanie Dalton.
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey.
Here.
Commissioner Keith Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner Hayes Wilkerson.
I'm here.
For today's invocation, please join me in a moment of silence to reverently collect our thoughts, pray, and ready ourselves for this meeting and the duties to which we have been called. Thank you. Mr. Granum, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have consideration of the minutes for approval or correction for the June 18th, 2024 work session. Any corrections?
I'll move, even though I can't remember that far back.
Move to approve as written. All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Phillips. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the minutes for the June 18th, 2024 regular commission meeting. Any corrections? If not, do I have a motion to approve as written?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is my mayor's report. I hope everyone had a lovely Independence Day. It's our first meeting back in July. In case you missed it at our work session earlier today, I wanted to say congratulations again to our city manager, Martin Granum, for earning his Certified Municipal Finance Officer certification from the state of Tennessee. This makes him our second CMFO currently on staff after Community Development Director Leslie Johnson. We have several community events coming up very soon here in the city. The next one is movie night this Friday, July 19th at 7 p.m. at the Red Bank Community Center. This month's movie is Finding Nemo. There will be food trucks and free popcorn while supplies last. A very important meeting coming up that I hope as many of you can make it to as possible is the Comprehensive Plan Public Visioning Workshop next Thursday, July 25th. Drop in anytime from 6 to 7:30 at the Red Bank Community Center to share your vision for our city. And next up is the mini farmers market on Saturday, July 27th from 9 to 9 to noon at the Red Bank City Park, and look forward there to a new and shadier vendor layout. Next, our Red Bank Community Food Pantry is Thursday, July 18th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. You can sign up to volunteer at their Sign Up Genius at redbankfoodpantry.org. And next we have our report from Vice Mayor Dalton.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. I hope you've all been enjoying your summer so far. I want to start by saying congratulations to Clever Ale House on the launch of Clever Creamery. All summer long, you can get homemade ice cream from right here in Red Bank at Clever Ale House. They'll be serving it up from 4 to 9:30 p.m. 7 days a week. And to tag on to what the mayor said, just as an FYI for the July 25th comprehensive planning meeting, there will also be a presentation of the small area study survey results. Won't go into detail beyond, we won't be getting feedback on that, but they'll be presenting the survey results. So just wanted to add that on to what will be happening at that meeting. In case you missed it, we have a call out for artist submissions for our first ever public art initiative to decorate our traffic signal boxes with beautiful art wraps. Artists can submit 2 pieces total for 2 differently sized traffic signal boxes. The theme is Our Southern Birds, based on the famed work of Emma Bell Miles, who created the first bird identification guide in the South while staying at the Pine Breeze Tuberculosis Sanitarium here in Red Bank back in 1921. The deadline to submit is July 23rd, and you can apply at the link on the Arts Red Bank Facebook page or on the city's Public Arts Board page. If you're interested in working for the city of Red Bank, we have a few positions posted right now. We have a full-time police officer position, a full-time engineering technician position, and a part-time parks and recreation program assistant. You can find more info and apply at redbanktn.gov. Early voting for the Thursday, August 1st election is happening now through Saturday, July 27th, and the deadline to request an absentee ballot is July 25th. And lastly, my son and I were able to volunteer with the Red Bank Community Food Pantry last week to pack bags of food and water for our homeless neighbors in Hamilton County. This is a partnership our pantry has with the Hamilton County Homeless Health Care Program. Right now, we are in need of pre-packaged utensils like you get when you have to-go orders from restaurants, and cheese crackers. So if you can make those donations, we would be greatly appreciative. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Next, we have our report from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Thank you. I'll piggyback on that, Vice Mayor. The peanut butter and all that can be at Red Bank United Methodist.
That's right.
Stored
That's right.
along with the food pantry, and then the homeless is in the off week. But yeah, as she's mentioned, early voting we'll cease July 27th for the August 1st election. Then early voting for the November 5th election will be October 16th to October 31st. And I also hope that you had a happy 4th of July. I was out of the country in Iceland and had some hooping and hollering over there across the sea for 4th of July. Mrs. Lou Farmer, 98 years old, was a stalwart resident who served our city in numerous ways. She was a member of Red Bank Board of Zoning and Appeals Board and the Red Bank Christmas Parade. She helped many people across our county purchase a home. She's the mother of Becky Farmer Crowder, who's very involved with our city. Lou lived in Red Bank since the early 50s, and she was the first female to run for Red Bank Commission. This Saturday, July 20th to Tuesday, July 23rd, I will attend the Tennessee Municipal League in Knoxville with Vice Mayor Dalton. Meetings will allow commissioners to meet with other commissioners and council people and discuss municipal issues across Tennessee. Next Listen and Learn will be Monday, August 19th at Sabor from 6 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Next, we have our report from Commissioner Phillips.
Well, thank you. Glad to see everybody here. Well, the plans are finally coming in. You know, we got our parks plan. I had the pleasure of sitting with the steering committee for the master plan, was going over how it's going to work and for the input on July 25th. So this is all coming together and I'm really excited for it. I think it's great things for the city. Also, I did stop by the creamery. Yeah. And you know, wearing a white shirt, got it all over everything, but it was delicious. And thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. That concludes my report.
And finally, our report from Commissioner Wilkinson.
Well, by virtue of going last, I now have nothing to say. So thank you guys for coming. I hope everybody had a good 4th of July. And yeah, stop by Clever. My 3-year-old, right, really loves it.
Got the stamp of approval.
Yes.
All right. All right. And next we have our report from our city manager, Mr. Martin Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. All my points have been hit as well, so.
All right. Now we will temporarily adjourn this regular meeting in order to convene our beer board meeting. Is the app, or sorry, I have to go through the whole process, the roll call and all that. Miss Perry, will you call the roll for us?
Mayor Holiday.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stephanie Dalton.
Here.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey.
Here.
Commissioner Pete Phillips.
Here.
Commissioner Hazel.
I'm here.
All right. We have one item on today's agenda, an application from Jared Most representing the Meeting House, a request to serve beer on premises at 3912 Dayton Boulevard. And I believe we have the applicant present. Please come forward.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Please tell us a little bit about your application.
Okay, so we're really excited to have relaunched the meeting house just a few months ago, and we're hoping to have like events there in the evenings and possible concerts, and then we're really excited about being able to offer beer to serve at those concerts as well. So we're really hoping for approval for that, and yeah,
All right. Have you read and understood all of our ordinances?
I do. Yes.
Excellent. Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, so are you gonna be selling beer all the time? What-
So we're right now our hours are from 8 to 3 o'clock. We're hoping to expand those a little bit more into the evening, and then we'll be able to sell them
Okay,
outside of concerts and events as well.
okay.
That was going to be my question. Are you going to, in concert with potentially serving beer, have more hours open after 3 p.m. than just Wednesdays?
We are hoping to. Right now, we're just trying to figure out how to serve more food, and just the whole logistics of that.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are hoping to expand those hours soon.
Great. I love you have a great outdoor space in the rear of the building for a little mini beer garden.
Yeah, we hung up some lights, and then yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us today. You can have a seat if you'd like. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Go ahead.
I will just say that I'm excited about the opportunity for you all to diversify a little bit and also, help bring in more sales tax dollars into our community. So thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Any comments from the residents present?
We have our first concert the 24th.
Okay,
July 24th. Let the record state there will be a concert at the Meeting House on July 34th.
What time?
So doors will open at 6.
Okay.
And then we'll close at 9 like we typically do.
Perfect.
All right. And perhaps there may be beer. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the residents? If there's no more comments, then we'll call the vote. All in favor? Oh, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Wahoo.
Congratulations. Please keep us updated and let us know when that tap goes in. All right, so that will conclude our beer board hearing, and we can now reconvene our regular called meeting. We have one item of unfinished business, that's ordinance number 24-1262. An ordinance of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, repealing Title IX, Chapter 7 of the Red Bank City Code, i.e. the Red Bank Wrecker Service Ordinance, and substituting in its place instead a new, modernized, and up-to-date ordinance to regulate and to provide for a framework and establish a set of regulations for the operation of wreckers and wrecker services within the City of Red Bank, Tennessee. Second and final reading. And I'll let Chief Seymour give a recap of a little bit of what we talked about at the previous meeting last month.
Sure, yeah. So this is just, we're replacing the previous ordinance. We updated some items in that. This governs our wrecker services that want to tow for the city in those cases where we have abandoned vehicles or wrecked vehicles or arrests and the owners aren't present or don't have a particular wrecker company they want to be towed. So we have to have a list of that. So some things are outdated or we wanted to modernize some of the ordinance says, and we looked at some of the restrictions and things like that. So modernize that.
Any questions for the chief? All right. If not, then do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, then Ms. Perry, will you call the vote for us?
Mayor Barry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
Motion carries on second and final reading. Moving on to new business, we have resolution 24-1704, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, recognizing July 19th, 2024 as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day. Public Works Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. If you will allow me, I will read this resolution in its entirety.
Please.
It says, whereas celebrating Parks and Recreation Professionals Day is a fantastic opportunity to recognize the dedication and hard work of those who contribute to the maintenance, development, and enjoyment of our parks and recreational spaces. And whereas parks and recreational spaces play a vital role in enhancing the quality of life for individuals and communities, fostering health, well-being, and community spirit. And whereas the professionals who diligently manage, maintain, and innovate within our parks and recreation facilities demonstrate unparalleled dedication, expertise, and passion for their work. And whereas their efforts contribute significantly to environmental sustainability, cultural enrichment, and social cohesion. Therefore, be it resolved by the Commission of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, that Friday, July 19th, 2024 be recognized as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day. We express our heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to all those who tirelessly serve in the field of parks and recreation. Let us recognize and honor their invaluable contributions to our communities and commit to supporting and advocating for the continued enhancement and accessibility of parks and recreational opportunities for all. And while Public Works plays a big part in the parks management, our current situation is totally due to this man right here. And I would just like to publicly acknowledge that I appreciate your effort. And July the 19th is your day.
Don't be late to work.
How about this? Introduce your business.
And to celebrate, we'll have him be working late at our community movie night. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution 24-1705, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, to establish and set a fee schedule in conjunction with the Red Bank Record Ordinance codified at Title 9, Chapter 7, Sections 9-701 through 9-719, inclusive of the Red Bank City Code. Chief Seymour.
Yeah, so this kind of piggybacks off the new ordinance that was approved. So we also, as part of that project, looked at the fees, right? So I think the last time the ordinance had been updated was like 2010. And so along with that, the fees need to be updated. So obviously a lot of things have changed. And so this is just the new fee schedule. It is in line with the area that other governments have approved as well. So any questions?
And the reason that this resolution is being passed separately from the ordinance that we just passed on second and final reading is because the fee structure has been decoupled from the ordinance so that we can update it without having to update the whole ordinance. We can update just the fee structure with less overhead.
Yeah, well, yes, it makes it, and it kind of goes in line, kind of what the city staff wants to do is there's a lot of fees and costs that are built into ordinances and obviously there's a lot more that goes into changing an ordinance than there is a resolution. And so this is kind of a step towards that. So it can be reviewed and then it can be proposed to you and have one vote versus having multiple votes and going before a public hearing and things like that. So yes.
And hopefully be a little easier to update less than every other decade or so for inflation and market changes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe 8 years instead of 10 years.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Chief? Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Phillips. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Resolution 24-1706, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, amending Resolution 23-1634, appointing up to 6 members to the City of Red Bank Nonprofit Citizens Advisory Board. Deputy Director Johnson.
Thank you.
This was one we were not able to get to in the work session, so
Correct.
inform us.
As you stated, the board itself, as was created, has about 6 members. So this was the opportunity to fill a vacancy. So if it gets passed this evening, we will have the nonprofit board back up to full speed. Presented to you tonight for consideration is Mr. Freddie Hanner. He is a local business owner. He is also a very active participant in all things Red Bank public events. In conversation, how this person came to our attention and his interest was through our parks manager, having conversations of how his events were going. He did speak very highly of Mr. Hanner and his participation and his enthusiasm. So I had just expressed, see if he might be interested in one of our board vacancies, and he immediately jumped on that. So he is already hitting the floor running, very eager to participate, and actually we have our first board meeting next week for our board to actually take some action to provide recommendations to you on their first round of ARPA nonprofit fund awards. So, yeah, he's very enthusiastic, and we look forward to coming back hopefully in your first August meeting with a recommendation to make those awards.
Exciting.
Yes, very.
Very exciting.
So Freddie Hanner operates an insurance company here in Red Bank, and I think the Freddie Hanner food truck might actually be where even more people might
Yes.
recognize his name here in Red Bank at
Yes.
all of our events. Any questions for Director Johnson? I'm sorry. Okay. In that case, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? There are no more comments. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll welcome Mr. Hanner to the board. We're excited to have him. Next, we have Resolution 24-1707, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing the purchase of stormwater inlet grates from Atchison Foundry, Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the amount of $22,540 for the Public Works Department. And I'll turn it over to Director Tate. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to put this on the thunder around. To put on the big screen, but when I got here, there's no place to put it. That's okay. It's just one picture. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. If you recall, back in April, I stood before you and asked for, I believe the amount was $17,000 or $13,000 to purchase 17 storm grates to replace storm grates along Dayton Boulevard that were risky to, probably not a good choice of words, but for bicycles because of the orientation and the width of the grade openings. And so our street operations supervisor, Ricky Reeves, worked with a local foundry to come up with the grates that you see in the pictures, and we replaced those 17 grates along Dayton Boulevard. They're in various places. A lot of the grates that are currently installed are down toward the south end near Memorial Drive coming back up this way. There's some in the Central Business District that he replaced what he considered to be the most needed at the time. And then he come back with a request for 29 more to finish replacing all of the ones that were outdated. And so that's what this money is for that we're requesting here. And this will come out of the state street aid. And it was a budgeted item. This was part of our 2025 budget plan to finish replacing these grates. So other than that, I'll take any questions.
So the 13,000 was for the first 17,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then the 22,540 supports the remaining 29.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So total of 46-ish.
Right.
Okay.
And, and this is just one step of our stormwater improvement plan. Once our stormwater utility inventory management plan is created, then this will be something we can check off the blocks whenever Barge gives us a final report.
Does Public Works install them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor?
I think the main reason we started looking into this was because we recognized that there was a potential liability issue with cyclists
Right.
riding on our roadways and potentially their tires getting stuck in the openings, as you said. So this is helping to help prevent any liability to the city.
Risk management.
Yes, risk management. Thank you. And this will go toward that finishing out that project.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Tate?
So those 13, but that's the ones we just got installed, all those nice new ones like this.
Yes.
That I seen down there on the south end.
Yes, sir.
We just need what, 27 more?
Yeah, that's not going to replace every grade in town.
No, just the
large-
ones
Just the ones that are
that have the wrong orientation.
the wrong orientation.
And the wrong width.
Yeah, right.
There, the easiest place to see these is on Dayton Boulevard from Memorial to Baxter on the northbound lane to east side. And they're pretty high visible. They're bright, shiny, and they really pop. And so if you really want to see them, it's Memorial to Baxter on the northbound lane of Dayton Boulevard.
Or right here at the corner of Newberry, right in front of AutoZone.
Oh, one more. So when you were talking about stormwater management, it also helps reduce the amount of debris that potentially could get
It
washed down.
potentially could, because a lot of the older grades have wide openings in them,
Mhm.
and easier for larger objects. So there is potential there to reduce the intake into the storm system.
And just to clarify, this order will complete the replacement of all of the troublesome grates?
Yes, ma'am. Every one that we identified, I'm not saying we didn't miss one, but we took 3 trips through the city to come up with a collection of candidates for replacement. And this year will finish that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Resolution 24-1708, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing contract addendum number 1 with Barge Design Solutions for professional services estimated not to exceed $210,000, utilizing allocated ARPA funds to provide a public works facility building program study to include financial feasibility, environmental efficiencies, and 30% design documents with an opinion of probable construction costs, OPCC estimates. Director Johnson.
Thank you. The scope of work that's included with this resolution is really continuing to focus the lens for the Public Works Needs Facility. If you recall, earlier this year, we finished up a phase 1 look, which helped us determine, is our current site feasible, or were we to the point that we were having to look off-site? So through that process, we have narrowed down the focus that our existing site where Public Works is, that will work for a future layout. Several factors that came into play is current utilities, but more so it's a facility that the neighborhood is already acclimated to. So that played a major role to make a decision whether we needed to stay in place or look elsewhere. Staying in place does give us the opportunity to have a smaller footprint, but it doesn't reduce the needs of what Public Works is going to have in the future. So this plan, taking a look, again, focusing that lens, I want to make sure that we understand that probably the biggest priority is to look at its financial feasibility. It's one thing to say we have desires and needs this big, but to have an understanding of how do we make that come to light. So this will help us focus that lens on the financial feasibility, in addition to helping us incorporate that into the capital improvements plan that we will be focusing on for next year. So Again, big picture, a lot of projects that are happening, but this helps us focus that lens a little deeper. In addition to looking at the environmental issues on the property, we know adjacent on White Oak Park, we have some TDEC, some landfill closure that we need to be aware of. Our consultant is fully aware of that. So through this process, we will also flush out any restrictions that we may or may not be aware of. We're fully aware of what we believe they to be, but our consultant will ensure that we have that communications through TDEC. So what ideas we have now are actually achievable.
That was going to be my question for you is, we talked earlier at our work session about the fact that we're hoping the capital improvements plan will come alongside our next budget process next year. And I imagine in order to incorporate something like a new public works facility into a capital improvements plan, you need to know what the actual estimated cost to the best of your ability to estimate would be.
Correct.
So this will be an
And this-
essential
yes,
part of that
This allows our
plan.
consulting team to really get deeper into what are we dealing with? What utilities do we have? If we're proposing to relocate, what does that cost look like? If we want to go green, what does that cost look like? And it's one thing to say you want to build a green facility, but initially there is a huge investment on green, but the return is down the road. So putting all those numbers and those ideas together, that's where this team comes in to take a look at what do we have to have, how can we achieve it, and what does that price tag potentially look like?
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
A couple of questions. One, and you may know this, Mr. Tate. You referenced the landfill that is capped underneath White Oak Park. Is any part of the Public Works facility built over the old landfill?
I don't believe it is. I believe most of that facility has been there decades,
Okay,
along with the landfill. But
okay,
I don't, to my knowledge, none of the area that Public Works occupies now is landfill.
okay. Excellent. Well, then my next question is, or my next comment, and hopefully you can help remind us for folks who have not been here for previous conversations about this, is that the understanding is that that facility is decades old and it was a Hamilton County facility that the city of Red Bank was, I guess, gifted or in some way, you know, the title was passed over to us and it has never, ever been renovated. As far as we know, it's been decades and decades, and it is in a condition that is an emergency, has emergency
Highest
needs.
need.
Very high needs.
Yeah. So I typically identify those as deeded facilities.
Okay.
It may not have been the initial investment of the community.
Sure.
Somebody else may have been, it became deeded property to the city. At that time, obviously, it fulfilled a need. As we've continued to grow, more residents, more work, more activities, and a lot of times even more regulatory oversight. Most recently, we had the underground storage tanks removed, more so for the fact that it no longer served the purpose on Public Works, but just the regulatory oversight becomes more detailed and more encumbersome for a jurisdiction to maintain. So those features come into play.
Do we know when that facility was initially constructed even? Long time ago.
A long
Before our
time
time.
ago.
Before all of our times, I think is the answer there. All right, any other questions for Director Johnson? All right, do I hear a motion to approve?
I move.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Wilkinson.
If I can add just
Please.
for clarification, this is utilizing allocated ARPA funds. So this continues to help us achieve those goals, where we've identified by resolution, or actually by ordinance, how your ARPA funds were to be distributed. This is within that category. So
Right.
it's not tapping into immediate general fund dollars.
We allocated a good chunk of our ARPA funds into facilities improvements more generally,
Yes.
but the Public Works facility was identified as being the
Highest
highest need
Yes.
in the city. And so a
Yeah, for
significant,
Public Works.
a significant, speaking of all of our commission goals falling in their department. So a significant part of that facility's improvement allocation for the ARPA funds is going to this project.
Yes.
And that ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan Act.
Oh, yes,
funds.
yes. Thank you, Vice
For
Mayor.
those who are not familiar with those letters.
That's how you know you've been in it too long.
Just wanted to make sure that that was apparent.
I appreciate
Thank you.
you reminding us all of that, that allocation. Because another reason we allocated quite a bit to facilities improvements out of that ARPA funds is because it's a non-recurring revenue stream. So we wanted to make sure that it was going to be invested in non-recurring expenses like facilities improvements, as opposed to salaries for employees that recur year after year. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present? If there are no more comments, we'll go ahead and call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our last item of business for today is resolution number 24-1709. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Red Bank, Tennessee, authorizing Bill Harvey of Red Bank Baptist Church, 4000 Dayton Boulevard, to use temporarily the right-of-way located behind the address in the former Bank Street for the purpose of installing a handicap ramp subject to certain conditions. Director Johnson.
Thank you. This is coming to us through our building official. They did follow the process to pull a building permit. What they're ultimately trying to achieve is better accessible connectivity from their upper parking lot, those elevation changes. One of the biggest keys that they found looking at that is the actual rise and run of those steps. They're concrete and they're very challenging for people to navigate. In addition to, they are looking at including an ADA handicap ramp. So again, it's transitioning from an upper parking lot down to their main facility. In order to achieve that, obviously they had to get into the right of way to be able to extend some concrete, which is already present there, but it's actually bringing it up to code. So this request is actually tied to that building permit. Once the project is complete and closed out, then there's no longer a use for that temporary right of way.
Okay. Any other questions for Director Johnson?
But it used to be the street behind the church.
Yes, it used to be a travel lane.
Yeah.
It is still a public right of way. We do have utilities in it and we still do retain ownership, so to speak, of that right of way. But yes, it has been, not technically closed, but it's no longer used as a travel lane. It's more pedestrian and connectivity from their parking lot to the facility, which required the temporary use of the right of way. That's within our policies and our guidelines.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve? I'll move. We have a motion from Vice Mayor Dalton. Do I hear a second?
A second.
We have a second from Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey. Any further discussion? Any comments from the residents present?
Mr. Bull, did you have any comments?
No.
No? Okay.
All right. If there are no more comments, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now is the time for citizen comments for items not on this agenda. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and the city recorder will operate the timer visible on the dais. Please respect her direction and conclude any comments as time expires. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, city staff, or the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not expect a reply during public comment. At this time, citizens are invited to the podium. Please begin by stating your name and address.
All right. If there are no public comments today, then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Phillips. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Dalton. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming.
I think I'm about 98% on that.